Hello everyone, you look great today. Welcome back to my channel. And today I want to talk about a topic I've been seeing coming up on my feed a lot, which is in response to the fact that the Lanterns DC trailer came out about a week ago and everyone seems extremely disappointed already. I've seen a ton of posts already all over my social media about how this new show is going to be an absolute failure and how people are incredibly disappointed by how it looks visually. Now, I think there's been quite a weird pattern going on over the past sort of year and a bit, ever since Superman was initially talked about by James Gunn, and there's been quite a lot of conflict within the DC fandom and how the DCU works in comparison to the DC and blah 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 basically. I'm not the biggest DC fan and I'm not the most knowledgeable DC fan, but I wanted to make this video because I think we do need to kind of ask the question, what is it that DC fans seem to actually want? And there's not an answer to that question. Spoilers for the end of the video. I'm not going to answer it at the end by saying like, actually, there's this perfect thing that everyone's going to agree on. Because there's loads of DC fans that want it to be way similar to the comics. And there's loads of DC fans that want it to be similar to the films that have been already made. And there's loads of DC fans that want it to be different to all the films that have been made. And there's probably some DC fans that want it to be nothing to do with the comics and want it to be to do with some show or whatever. But it's really hard to get a grasp on what DC fans actually want, and so we're just going to explore basically everyone's reaction to James Gunn's DCU. So the first thing to talk about, obviously, is last summer the film Superman came out, starring David Cornsweet and directed by James Gunn. Now, before this film came out, there was so much controversy around it right from the trailer. People were getting so annoyed, from the way he was putting on his boots in the trailer to the fact that the film is very saturated and colourful. People were so angry. Now, this stems from the fact that a lot of people miss the Zack Snyder version of Superman, which is the Man of Steel sort of era. If you don't know, Zack Snyder was the person that made the Justice League and a lot of the old DC films, and he's no longer working with DC, but his fans are extremely obsessed with him and the fact that his era was the golden era for DC. I liked Henry Cavill as Superman. I think that Man of Steel was a pretty good film, but the problem is, all of Snyder's fans love this old style of superhero film that was very much influenced by Batman Begins by Christopher Nolan, which is a DC film but not really related to DC entirely. And it's this sort of grungy, more gritty version of superhero films. Back in the day, original Superman, colourful, very sort of strange and superhuman, and then Batman Begins comes out and everyone's like, wow, superhero films can be dark and difficult, and the fight scenes can be like violent and everyone can be beating each other up and it can be about making the hard decision. And so Zack Snyder directed the Superman films, which were very much this more like dark, greyish, silver, sort of down-toned colours throughout. And this is a complaint that a lot of people have had with most modern media, is that for a long time now things have just seemed less colourful, and I do think it's a huge disappointment that we seem to be making films less vibrant for whatever reason. The original Superman films were things that people hold up as the ultimate trophy of what the DC should be. And so when the trailer came out for Superman, people were like, colours? You're telling me it's going to be blue and red and yellow? What is this, a Superman film? That's ridiculous. It should be a grungy Superman film. It should be the same. It should be more of what we already have. And that's where the immediate problem comes in. Obviously, I don't need to tell you this. We don't need more of Zack Snyder's Superman films because they exist. If every single iteration of comics films was a replicant of the last, then you would stop watching after the first 2 or 3. And that's the issue with superhero films, not just with DC, but with Marvel and lots of different companies, is you can't just keep rebooting and replicating what we already had. Because the only reason we liked that is because it didn't exist yet. And the only reason we'll like something new is because it doesn't exist yet. Also, there were huge complaints about how Superman was going to be way too woke because it's a story about an alien coming to the United States and fighting a billionaire. And now that's what every single Superman comic has been about across time, and yet people were very angry at James Gunn. They were saying James Gunn is going to go woke and he's going to go broke. James Gunn's Superman will absolutely fail because no one wants to see that sort of leftist liberal propaganda in in our Superman films. Once the film came out, there were also huge complaints about it because Superman didn't win every single battle and it looked like it was slightly weaker than Henry Cavill's iteration of Superman, and people complained as much as possible because they were so angry. Ben Shapiro even complained before the film came out, which is actually probably the best praise a film could get. And people made a lot of comments about how it had made so much less money than the previous Superman films and that everyone had been right. Trying to boycott this film had worked. Because yes, that's right, Snyder fans were so obsessed with holding this grudge that they started petitions to try and boycott this huge multi-million film. And it didn't work. Despite all of the things you might have seen about the new Superman film not making enough money and not breaking even, it made less money than previous films have done and made more money than previous films had done, and it made the studio a lot of money. They're making more films. It didn't do badly, and a lot of people said they loved it. I mean, that was the song of the summer after that because kindness is the new punk rock, and people just seemed really happy that there was a film that felt hopeful. It also sort of lightly toed around addressing the Israel and Palestine conflict, which obviously pissed off more of the right-wing people, but it seemed like we finally had hope in our cinema, which is what Superman, at its core, should be about. Superman is a symbol of hope. The symbol literally means hope. But people, of course, had a problem with it. Despite having a problem with it, people can't now say the Superman film did incredibly badly, because there is literal proof that it didn't. So instead what they've said is that Supergirl is going to go even worse. That's right, James Gunn is directing something else. How dare he? Who let him do this? Let's get rid of him. We need Zack Snyder back. What's this? He's directing Supergirl, and it looks like it's going to be an interesting sort of space adventure that's very sort of faithful to some comics, but also branching out its new thing. That sounds woke. There's a woman in the film, and she's the lead? Ridiculous. People are disappointed in the trailer. The trailer got very bad reviews, and of course that's nothing to do with misogyny, because it just couldn't be. People wouldn't do that. They wouldn't negatively review it because it's a woman as the lead and people hate women, because systemically we've shown that in lots of media and propaganda entities like Superman and comics and just films generally, women have a hugely lowered percentage of lead roles, and so as soon as someone sees that and they've been sitting in their basement and they want to complain about something, they see it and they're like, it's a woman, let me complain, but I need to not say it because I know the public perception of complaining about women is very negative at the moment, so I'm just going to leave a bad comment. It couldn't be that. It wouldn't be that at all. So people like it or don't like it because it's too similar to Guardians of the Galaxy. That's the biggest complaint with all of James Gunn's projects. People say it looks too much like Guardians of the Galaxy. He spoiled it by being very Guardians of the Galaxy because he directed Guardians of the Galaxy. The one thing I would say to these people is that film was great. All three of the Guardians of the Galaxy films did really well in terms of money. So if money's what you care about, it's going to do well. But also, those films, I know people kind of now have a perception of like, oh, he's doing the same thing. He's got the same formula. You've got a group of ragtag people with flaws and they're doing stuff. And I understand that, but the Guardians films are fun. They've got fun music, they've got fun moments. Visually, they look really interesting. Much more interesting than just grey and gritty drama. So I don't really see why that is a complaint from a lot of people, but it is. And all of the space scenes, I admit, do look quite Guardians of the Galaxy. I didn't think that was a problem because, you know, DC has been slightly failing for a few years, reboot after reboot of their entire franchise and multiverse, so bringing in elements of a film that did really well as part of the more successful universe, I think isn't going to be too bad a thing. There's been a lot of disgusting comments about Supergirl, and misogynistic comments about Supergirl, and complaints about Supergirl. It's not come out yet, guys. It's not there. You don't know if it's bad. Test audiences said it was really good, so who knows? But this all builds to what I wanted to make this video about because it came out recently, which is the DC show Lanterns, which is coming out. So Lanterns is going to follow two Green Lanterns, which is a type of hero in the DC comics who has a ring that they harness their powers of, I think it's willpower for the Green Lanterns, to create cool constructs. You've probably seen Green Lantern stuff. It's the thing where Ryan Reynolds starred in it and the film did absolutely horrendously and everyone hated it for a while. So they're doing Lanterns as a series. And what's interesting is people have already despised the trailer, but for slightly different reasons to the other stuff. Instead of despising it because it's James Gunn, although that absolutely comes into it, because there have been a few posts about how the suits look too Guardians of the Galaxy and all of it's too Guardians of the Galaxy and James Gunn doesn't know how to make shows anymore. Most of the complaints are actually to do with the opposite of their complaints with Superman. People have across the board mentioned that this trailer looks awful because it's not very green. Green Lanterns are supposed to be this very vibrant, sort of neonish green, especially with the constructs they make with their rings and how they use their powers. And so people noted that because it's sort of a desert show and their suits aren't green in the trailer, we've only seen one suit. I mean, we haven't actually seen what their probably final suits will look like, so who knows? It all looks very brown. And to be fair to DC fans, before I go back to ranting annoyedly about them, I understand. It should be green. It should be vibrant. It's a superhero film. It should feel saturated. It should feel fun. Oh, it's not a film. It's a series. It should feel vibrant. It should feel fun. And it doesn't. It looks very downtoned. But my issue is, didn't you just say that Superman was too colourful? What is it that you actually want? Because Superman is about to come out in this last summer. It's about to come out, and everyone is like, this is far too colourful. It's going to be unrealistic. It's not going to be down to earth. It's going to be stupid. And now the trailer for this has come out, and everyone's like, this is not colourful enough. It's too gritty. It's too down to earth. It's going to be stupid. I literally do not understand what people want. Now, of course, the answer to this is maybe that it's two sides of the fandom, both annoyed at what's happening with the fandom, both annoyed at how James Gunn is handling this, but that can't be true because there are also people who like James Gunn and also like his movies and DC projects. So I don't quite get it. I don't. You can't have both stances. No matter how much you'd like to, you can't. You can't want something to be extremely colourful and saturated and want something to not be colourful or saturated. It doesn't make any sense. There's a lot of cognitive dissonance, and also people are complaining that they've turned this sort of superhero space cops, which is what the Green Lanterns are, into regular detective cops in some random place, and that's boring. And first of all, I agree. I think that the idea of space cops is the boring part, though. But I mean, either way, it'd be more interesting to branch out in a new way. But the problem is, you remember when Batman came out? That DC project with Robert Pattinson? Everyone absolutely loved how that was a detective show. The things people noted about that Batman film that were different to the other ones is it was more mystery, it was more detective, it was more gritty, it was more human. It felt more like a cop film, basically, and people loved it. People were like, this is the best new Batman, we love this style, why don't they do this more? And now they're doing it more, and everyone hates it. Everyone hates the idea of bringing any kind of detective genre into their superhero genre, despite the fact that they loved it the last time it happened. So I'm not sure about that, but people are complaining about that as well, and people are generally saying that the 2011 disaster of a film already looks better than this thing that hasn't come out yet. And also there's obviously the Snyder fans who are saying that it looks worse than Snyder's version of the Green Lanterns because they will never give up on that point ever in their lives. And the problem is, the show hasn't come out yet. And I know the trailer looks bad and it looks a bit boring. And I agree, it looks boring, but I feel like it's a bit unfair to be so against this show before it's even existed. I'm not saying this show is going to be good. In fact, I'm probably not going to watch it. I haven't actually watched anything of DC for a very long time. But already talking about how there's not enough green in it, they don't use their rings enough, they haven't made enough constructs, they haven't had their suits be green enough. It's like, none of those things were in the trailer, but you can't use those things at once. I think those things weren't in the trailer because they're going to be in the show and they don't want to spoil how cool all their stuff is. I doubt they're not in the trailer because the whole show, they're never going to use the rings. Yes, it looks admittedly extremely stupid when he flies without any kind of green. He looks like he's just doing a big jump, and it would be really funny to see without CGI effects if he just did that jump and then fell to the ground again. But I don't know, it's not come out yet and people are so annoyed already. I have no idea if it's going to do well, but the sort of public hatred of James Gunn feels a little bit forced, and it feels a little bit reminiscent of just whenever a new person takes over a project you liked. Even when you were like a kid, something changes in the TV show you like or the films you like, and your instinct is the new thing must be bad because I've been enjoying the old thing. But what you could actually do is enjoy the old thing, see that it's changed, And now you have the experience of enjoying a completely new thing with bits of the old thing as well, and there's variety. So if you're a Superman fan that was a big fan of Zack Snyder's films and you enjoyed them loads, why not enjoy those and now enjoy that there's something new, kind of similar, kind of different, also in the same genre you like, and just bring it together and be less completely hateful of it. That'll be my general message at the end of this video. What do DC fans want? They want to complain about things. What do I want? I want to complain about things. It's okay to complain. It's fine to complain. I just think the show's not come out yet. Give it a chance. So that's the end of this video. Another quite ranty video. Another video with no script. So leave a comment on what you thought about that. Please like if you liked the video and subscribe if you'd like to see more of my content. And yeah, this YouTube thing's been pretty fun. Just a little peek behind the curtain. I know my upload schedule's been extremely erratic. Like, this is coming out a couple days after the previous video, which came out weeks after the video before that. But I'm kind of just going as I go, and it's quite fun, and I really appreciate all your support. Please go support the Avatar The Last Airbender video if you've seen Avatar The Last Airbender. It's doing very badly at the moment, so I would really appreciate the help. And yeah, have a lovely week, stay tuned, and bye-bye now. Mwah.